Welcome to the Journey and Discovery. If you're tuning in, thank you so much. I hope I give you some good information today. So as I make this attempt to do better videos every single time that I try. So here we are. So today I would love to talk with you about etiquette. And why do I want to do that? Because of my recent observations of a lot of children at the dinner table or mealtime. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dinner table, but at mealtime. So I want to give you some tools to work with that. So let's go back to the classroom a little bit. So when I work with the children and when we work in the Montessori method especially, one of the most important things we talk about is grace and courtesy. So when we start our new school year and when new children come in or old children refreshing, one of the things that we go through the very first week is about the very basic things as to how we set guidelines in the classroom, such as how to sit on a chair, how to carry a chair, how to place a work mat on the floor, how to roll and unroll a mat on the floor. If you're familiar with a Montessori classroom, you know we work on the floor a lot. So that's why we talk about these things. And even simple things like how to place an object down. So I'll take you a little bit deeper into why we do this. So one thing is, I have a few props today for you. So we show the child, let's say in your home, one of the things that are available to the children these days are lots of plastic, as we know. And why we want to refrain from that as much as possible is, it's not that it's terrible, but you know how children like to touch everything and feel everything and do the things that you do in the environment. So you use things that are breakable, don't you? And your coffee mug may look something like this. So if we show a child how to hold a cup like this, and how to place it down like this, we can even do what we call a point of interest. See if you can set it down as gently as possible and not make a sound. Listen to the sounds. Now it's nice and safe. That's how we would put a cup down. So if you know how to place a cup down with care, or to carry a cup with care, that also means that we are looking at a bigger picture, which is a preparation for how to care for things in the environment. When we know how to care, this is a very beginning step towards even caring for all the things around us, for caring for people, for caring for others. These are just ground rules for all of that. So that's just one example for you. So when we sit at a dinner table, one of the things that come to mind is in our days now, it's kind of rare that we sit down and eat a meal with children and the whole family together. This is a time that is so important. It doesn't matter how long. Again, something that I talk about all the time is quality versus quantity. So if you're getting ready to have a meal during the day, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, at least one meal. If you can start with one meal to sit down together and have a meal together, have a conversation together. What are those conversations look like or feel like, and what can they be like? Is something that I would like to talk to you more about. I may not be able to tell you everything in this one video, but we will make it into different segments so it's not too long for you. One of the things that we always do in the classroom or even in my home, sometimes children visit in my home, or I work with families in their homes. So one of the things is how we set up a table. I will show you those things separately another time, how exactly to do that. But children can certainly put a placemat on the table. They can bring plates to the table. They can put a glass on the placemat. Those things they can do. They can place the fork and a spoon on the placemat. So they can help you to set up the table. And then they can also help you prepare the food. Very simple, simple recipes, but you can sometimes involve the children to make the food with you. And again, I will show you that in another video, how to do that. So when the table is set up, how you can serve the food onto a platter and then set it on the table. Ask everybody to sit down at the table and where your hands can be. So setting the guidelines or boundaries for everything is really, really important. What are the expectations you have when we sit down to eat at the table? So we don't want to give what not to do or talk about what not to do, but we want to say what we would like to see happen. So for instance, we will say when we're at the table, we're always sitting down throughout the meal. We will only get up if there's an emergency, and what an emergency is, you can talk about that, and that's the only time you may get up from the table. Not during a meal. A lot of times I have seen that children get up and go to the bathroom a few times, or they're running around the house during dinner time. They are many times talking with their mouth full. All these things happen, and again, it's not to be rigid at all, but because they all show grace and courtesy, and that impacts what is to happen in the environment when they're anywhere, not only in your home, but to have a time with ease, time that is pleasant to be around each other, and have a beautiful meal time. So once you set those guidelines up, like I said, talk about when we get up from a table is when it is all done, and that we will take before you leave the table to be excused, like to say, may I be excused, I'm finished eating. Before that, let's also talk about the wasting of food that we see a lot of. Especially in the privileged environments, the privileged child, there's a lot of food on the plate that they cannot even eat, and that gets thrown away. To ask the child to take only the amount that they are going to eat. So let's say we're going to have some mashed potatoes, we're going to have a few green beans, and we have some fish today. So you ask the child, is this a good amount? And take only the amount that you are going to eat. And if you want more, you can take it again. But that's it. So you can always offer more to the child and then expect that that everything that's on the plate is eaten. Sometimes this gets a little sensitive to parents when I talk about it. It's not that you have to eat everything that's on your plate, especially if you have a full plate, but just take only what you want and what you think you can eat. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule. Sometimes if you're getting sick or something, a child might not be able to eat everything that they take. So that's an exception. So things like that, that's for your observation. Those are all information that you get in order to follow up. But at the table, the very first thing is how much food to put on the table. And then when you're finished, put the dishes away. And the next thing is what kind of conversation can you have at the table? A lot of people like to talk about what your day was like. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, because not everyone wants to talk about your day, because especially when you're winding down after a hard days of work or things like that. So, but whatever comes up, so it's not a routine, but if you can just be in the moment fully, and to always, as an adult, to model the behavior that you appreciate and you would want your children to see, such as telling your partner, you could say, "Thank you so much for picking up the groceries on your way home." And another partner who can say, "This food is so delicious. Thank you for preparing it. What is in this? What are the herbs in this mashed potato? I see something green. What is that?" So to discuss things like that, and then of course see where the conversation flow. And to be mindful about chewing, tasting the food. And I'll show you another time how the mindful tasting happens. I can show you that another time. So I think this is a long enough conversation for this topic, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful meal together.